Welcome to an overview of lesson study. This was done with a third and fourth grade lesson conducted by a third grade teacher, two fourth grade teachers, and a school coach. This lesson study was brought to us by the Idaho Regional Math Center from ISU and led by Angie Godfrey, supported by Veronica Blackman. What is lesson study? Lesson study is a cycle, and what's wonderful about it is you can keep using this cycle to help lessons become better and specifically target students' needs. So during the study, you, as a team, identify the needs of students and research what you need to do in order to meet their needs. Then the team moves into the planning session where you plan and focus on standards that are going to help answer that research question to better your students' learning. And then you figure out how you're going to deliver the lesson. The next step is the observation. And here you observe what happens with the students when they're taught the lesson. So one instructor teaches the students and the other teachers observe what the students are doing and look and see if they react to the lesson the way that you had planned. Then the team meets in the reflective process again, and that's when we look at what the students did and we get to modify the lessons to do for better results. Then it cycles back through to the study and you can continue the process. This process is very reflective and it really is amazing on what kids can accomplish. For this specific lesson study, we chose a research question, and our question was, how do we encourage students to work collaboratively and yet hold them accountable for individual learning? So the teachers decided that it was important that we assign groups for better collaboration, and then students got to work with the problem collaboratively for that support. And then after they worked collaboratively, they gained that confidence and they shared how they solved the problem with the class. The second part of our research question was accountability. And how we held students accountable is they had to first, we called it attacking the math problem independently. And so we had to see their work first on what they wanted to do. And then they each had their own color of marker in their group. And this way it was easy for teachers to see which student did what part of the group work because they all had different colors. And then at the end of the lesson, we had an exit ticket that each student did completely independently. And that's what we looked at for our data. We had a few mathematical discoveries. First of all, it's kind of hard to not jump in and just help kids, but the productive struggle is really powerful. It's important that kids have that opportunity to really work through their mathematical struggles because those discoveries will stick with them more than just being told how to do something. Another thing is you don't have to go through a ton of math problems to be successful. It's quality, not quantity. So even just choosing one math problem and really diving deep in can really help students out. It was also really cool to anticipate struggles that students might have. It was great for educators to think, I know that my students, or I think that my students are going to look at this math problem this way, and how am I going to ask questions to get them to redirect their thinking on another line of thinking, so that way they come back to where I'm wanting them to go. And then also having those students be leaders. student-led mathematical discussion. It is amazing, and kids can understand mathematical processes better from their peers than their teacher. There were a few pedagogical discoveries. One that we really liked is called 3 reads. And this is when you take one math problem and you read it 3 times, and each time it's for a different purpose. So the first time that we're reading the math problem, it actually doesn't involve numbers or the question. It's just comprehending the words, the text. Word problems can be really scary for kids. They need to figure out, what is this problem asking? What is it talking about? And then the second time you read, it's to comprehend the mathematical structures of the problem. It's introducing numbers, but it doesn't pose any questions yet, so they don't know what those numbers are going to be used for. They're just identifying, oh yeah, these numbers are going to be important in the math work that I'm going to do later. And the final third time, it's to come up with all these questions that they could list. So you actually don't give them a question yet. You say, hey, what could you ask about this information? And it's interesting to see what the kids come up with for their questions. We also did Think, Pair, Share. It was really important to have kids think independently first, and then given that a time to express their thoughts to others. We also had discussions between pairs to have students revise or go back and change their thinking. And then we had quick shares for the entire class when groups showcased what they worked on. Class discussions were very important. And for these to be effective, you have to focus on that culture part. So we have to have that safe learning environment where students can have a discussion and feel safe in doing so. When they share with their class, it's got to be in a place where they know that it's okay to make mistakes, and that they know it's a process. It's not all about just the answer, it's about the journey. A thermometer was a really powerful tool for us to use as a quick idea of how kids were doing. So they use their thumbs to physically show how comfortable they are with a task or a concept, and teachers can quickly check and have an idea of who they need to go see. And it also is that reflection for the student that they're saying, hey, how am I doing with this? So it's building that ownership of student learning. Exit tickets were used at the end of the lesson, and students essentially were given a piece of paper with a problem, and they answered it. Then these were gathered by the teachers and were looked over and graded to see how well they understood the concept. The thoughts about the lesson study. Erin said, my mind is blown on how well the lesson went after we collaborated and made adjustments. I loved anticipating what learning we would see, so I could come to the lesson prepared with deeper level questioning. And Judy, I said, I really like being able to vertically align math standards. Having insight of a third grade teacher was beneficial in anticipating the learning of students. I loved observing the students and getting insight in their learning. It was huge to see them having a great student learning experience. And we're going to leave you with a quote. The most productive classrooms are those which students work on complex problems, are encouraged to take risks, and can struggle and fail and still feel good about working on hard problems. And this is by someone we hold dear, which is Joel Bowler. She's amazing. Thank you so much for learning more about lesson study. It's a great opportunity And I know that we're planning on participating with it again. Thank you.